Welcome to Policy on Demand. I'm Nita Asher. Earlier this month, the Indian Finance Minister presented the last full union budget of the 2023-2024 year of the current Modi government. Sri Ramaswamy, an ITS partner from our Indian desk, joins us to discuss the highlights of the budget and what companies should consider as they do business in India. Sri, welcome.
Thank you, Nita.
Before we get into the specifics, can you provide some insights on the Indian economy and the key takeaways from the budget?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nita, to start with. The budget has hit the right chords for India to be an empowered and inclusive economy. There is push towards digitalization, green energy, more infrastructure spending. So just to give you an example, this year's budget has allocated a 33% increase towards capital infrastructure outlays compared to last year. There's a $2.5 billion spend towards green energy. So it's hitting the right chords. Just to give you some more statistics here, India's demographic dividend is growing. The working age population is very high. So this is all, empowering youth for innovation, for new technology. All of that is, kind of focused by the budget. So the government is strongly pushing towards all of that. Just to give you a bit of more statistics, India is now the 5th largest economy in the world. It was 10th in 2014 when the Modi government took over. So it's a steep rise. It's the fastest growing economy in the world at about 6 to 7%. It's like currently at 3 trillion and expected to be about 10 trillion by 2030. So that's really the pace at which India is growing. The domestic demand is very strong. There is significant push to make India a manufacturing alternative compared to China. The services sector has always been strong and it's still growing. So with all this push, it's a solid budget. It wants India to take to the next level. Yeah.
It's a very helpful background. On the tax front, what was the overall theme of the budget?
Yeah, the government stuck with its, the last few years, government has been very focused on giving a stable regime to investors, a very predictable regime. So it's stuck with that policy. Again, not too many changes in the budget. So if somebody asks you what happened in the budget, and I would say, no, nothing really much happened in the budget, which is a good answer because it gives you more stability. So India has focused on stability. The focus of the Indian government is to give, boost the confidence of the foreign investors making investments into India. So I think they've stuck with that chord in that sense.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
What are the key tax proposals impacting foreign investors and multinationals having interest in India?
Right. So one big proposal that happened, Nita, was that India is trying to curb practices where Indian companies are issuing capital or stocks above fair market value. So earlier what used to happen was that if Indian companies issued stock and those were issued to residents at above fair market value of the stock, then the Indian company would pay a tax on it. Now they extended that to non-residents. So if a non-resident subscribes to Indian stock and that stock is issued at more than fair market value, the Indian company will pay additional tax on that. So this was not earlier for non-residents, but now capital infusions will have to be planned carefully. You cannot issue stocks for more than fair market value. So that's the big change for non-residents. The second change that I would like to talk about is online gaming has come into the tax ambit. So there's going to be a 30% tax on winnings on online gamings. So this could be settled at the end of the fiscal year or at the end of every win, but the government wants to collect taxes on online gaming. There is a simplified appeal process now. So if it's an officer of a particular rank, like a junior officer who issues an audit, then there are additional appeal commissioners which have been involved. So the government is trying to simplify appeal processes to remove backlog. Okay. The final big change I'd like to talk about is on GST. So if there's any foreign entity providing online digital content kind of services to Indian B2C customers or Indian individual customers, there is going to be a GST. I mean, there was already a GST, but the way the definition was, they spoke about only automated services. But now they've included the fact that even if there is manual intervention involved, then that could be eligible to GST. So it's earlier one could take a view that this is entirely automated, and only when it's automated, that's when GST applies. And somebody could take an argument that no, there was manual intervention as well, and therefore this is not entirely automated. But now they've kind of expanded that thing, saying that even if there's automation or there is manual intervention, GST would apply. So any foreign entity providing any online digital content, advertising services needs to be careful about GST.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's helpful. In your opinion, does the budget miss out on any opportunities or issues?
That's a very good question, Nita. So yes, to my mind, there were notable misses. And I think the biggest miss was anything on Pillar 2. So given India's stature today in the world economy and its prominence and the role it plays today, I would have thought that the Indian government would have announced something towards Pillar 2 implementation. But it looks like India is playing the waiting game a little bit, like just waiting for what large economies like the US are going to do. Again, in my mind, India would prefer Pillar 1 because of the market that India offers and the customer base, but the jury is out yet. So India has not done anything so far, which was a bit of a disappointment. India could have made some form of an announcement towards Pillar 2. So that's not happened. The second thing was, if any foreign entity gives loans to its Indian subsidiaries, and if a loan goes into India before July 1, 2023, there was a lower withholding tax on the interest. It was only about 5.5%. Now there was expectation because India is still a growing economy, so there would be need for funds, and there was an expectation that the government would extend this date where loans could go even beyond July 2023 and could avail of a lower withholding tax of 5.5%, but that has not happened. So basically the message is, if you're going to put loans into India, do it before July 1, 2023 to avail the 5.5% withholding tax rate. Otherwise, it goes up. Okay. So that, according to me, were like two very big misses.
Yes, yeah. Interesting. And, it seems like India continues to view Pillar 1 as tied to Pillar 2.
Correct.
With respect to the OECD BEPS project. So we'll definitely need to stay tuned there.
Right.
What are your final takeaways for the audience?
Yeah, I think the budget creates a great foundation plan for India. There is focus on skill development, digitization, innovation, green energy, capital expenses. India aims to be a developed nation by 2047, which is the 100th year of its independence. So the Modi government is doing everything towards this goal. So I think it's a solid budget. The focus again is to make India more competitive in the global landscape, to attract foreign investments, to give a stable regime to investors and boost investor confidence. So.
Sri, thank you for sharing your insights. I hope this helps our audience plan their Indian operations better.
Thank you, Nita. Pleasure being here.
And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.